Hello and happy Advent day number 3. Day number 1. Wait. I have somebody across the room making me laugh. Day number 1, we made our holly leaf on branch. Day number 2, we candied some lime quats, and after that, candied some orange peel. I will tell you, lime quats are probably hard for you to source, and the orange peel is way easier. So go use the techniques I talk about in the video, but highly recommend orange peel, lemon peel, lime peel. Lime quats got lots of seeds, lots and lots of seeds. When you just do the peel, there's no seeds. But lime quats, you know, lots of lime quat. All right, day number 3 is going to be this pretty little crocheted, and this one's unblocked, by the way, so this will get crisper and blockier, and all those points will be pulled out even more than they already are, and I'm fairly pleased with this already. Snowflake. So the snowflake, the way that you do, and you can make up all kinds of snowflakes. You don't just have to use mine. You can also go look on Pinterest. Many crochet designers just put designs up with diagrams, and if you can read a diagram, you can crochet anything from anywhere in the world. I do know that a lot of the Russian contributors, and there are lots of snowflakes from Russia, that diagrams are there, the colors are there, they're well drawn out. Better than I can do, because I'm working on that as a skill development right now. This little one I just made up. The key is 6. 6 snowflakes have 6 sides. I guess I should show you the slip stitch. So slip stitch. I don't know how experienced you all are. Slip stitch. And then we will chain 4. Or I hold my thread like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And notice I don't pull up or ratchet up. And then I'm going to go through the furthest, and really this is the slip stitch, if I can get my hook through there. The furthest, or the first chain I can get it through. If I fail, I'll go down one, but usually I can get through my chain, my slip stitch. Well, it's gonna foil me today, so we're gonna go in there. Through the first chain on the loop. Sadly, to record this, I normally, when I do this move, stick it right up next to my face so that I can see the hole. No, there we go. I'm just going to go through the first chain. And through the first chain and pull through with a slip stitch. Now I've made a little circle. I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then double crochet 11 more stitches into the center ring. That chain 2 or the chain 3 that I just completed makes up one of those stitches. So there will be 12 double crochet stitches in the center of the ring. 3. I'm blind, and therefore I usually crochet right up next to my face. It makes filming difficult. I'm not counting, I'm just doing a bunch of double crochets at this point. What is a double crochet? Most of you probably know, but a double crochet in the US is wrap your yarn around the hook into the center, pick up a loop, come out. You have 3 loops on your hook. Go through 2, go through 2 more. That is a double crochet in the US, and I believe it's because you pass through twice to pull those 3 loops off your hook. In the UK, that's called a treble. And a double crochet is a single. And I'm assuming that that is because they count loops on the hook, not passes to get the loops off the hook. Or it could be just another one of those contrary things we did when we left when we became independent. Crochets, I don't even think that old, so I don't know. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. One more crochet stitch, one more double crochet. 2, and 2. All right. There we're around 12. Let's just count again to make sure. 2, 4. I don't know if you can see that, but that's how I count them. There's 1 stitch, 2 stitch, 3 stitch, 4 stitch, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then I'm counting that first chain as 12. We're going to slip to the top of that first chain. Slip, and put in a slip stitch to join the ring. So pulling through. And there are 12 stitches, 12 double crochet stitches around the ring. Now, why 12? It's a multiple of 6. And ultimately, we want this to have 6 arms, but we also don't want it to turn into a cup. So 12 is a really common number of stitches to put around a ring when you're doing circular or granny squares or any other design. 12 is what you usually put in at the center. If you don't put in 12 stitches, you need to do 6 in a chain, 6 in a chain. But 12 of something needs to go around that circle. All right, next round. We've just finished this, and now I'm going to do a series of chain scallops. See that opening right there? I accomplished that by putting in chaining 8, 8, 8, 8, 8. So chain 8, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I'm going to skip a stitch. There's 1 stitch. Go to the next one. In there. And slip stitch. A lot of this is slip stitch, and it's not too common on larger crochet projects, but for some reason, I've got 4. For some reason in snowflakes, there is a lot of this. 7, 8, skip a stitch, go into the next one with a slip stitch. And there we go, slip stitch. Slip stitch is go through, grab a yarn, a loop of yarn, and pull it straight on through so that you've just got the very, very tiny profile on the work. 8. Skip a stitch and go into the next space. And I should end up with, because the theme is 6, I should end up with 3 loops. See how I'm forming loops there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and skip a stitch and go into the next space. Now you are more than welcome to do the tops of the chain stitches as well, and here in a bit we are going to be working in the tops of the chain stitches. Normally I like to work in that. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just one more after this. Around here, skip a stitch. Ooh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, yep, we have room for one more. 1 in there, and then I have 1 left, and that will give us 6 petals. Oops. In there. Come on. Sometimes I just pull it out and do my slip then. Alright, one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, these are quite loose. You want them to be loose. Down into the base of the original. And this one is a little closer. I don't think it will be a problem. I'm just gonna... Normally I've been going in between the stitches, but that would take me beyond that one. So I'm gonna just put it right at the base of where we started to join. And there we go. And we have 6 petals. A little daisy, right? All right, this round we will be putting 6 double crochets into each of the petals. Now this is going to take a little work because we're not out there on the petals. So we're going to have to snake our way into that space. And the way I do that is go into the chain along the edge, and you can just pick up one single thread, but I'm slip stitching to move myself up to the top so that I'm in the out in the petal. So there, into there. And then 1, 2, 3 chain, because that serves as our first, actually let's back that up a bit. Let's go back to the first one. We're just going to go into that first space. In the first space. Slip stitch, and then chain. 1, 2, 3. The reason I made that decision is you see how these come all the way out to the edge. I don't need to go way up to the top. Alright, there's our first double crochet. 5 more go into that space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'll double count, double check. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 stitches in there. Okay. Now my next round, I'm going to chain 2. Actually, I'm going to chain 3 in between here. So 1, 2, 3, and then into the next petal with double crochets. 6 of them. 1. Oop. Oop. Gotta do that again. I lost my. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and that's that one. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and into the next one for 6. Next petal for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when I was a kid, I needed glasses. I got my first pair of glasses the year before I went to kindergarten. And the reason, well, there were 2 reasons my parents took me in for my eyes being tested. One was that I was always the kid that was sitting right in front of the television, and my brother and sister kept trying to fight me to get to the screen. And they thought I was just being selfish and hog, but in reality, I couldn't see the TV screen. So that was the first one. They just thought I was being naughty at the beginning. And then, when we would take long road trips, I started getting carsick, and I would throw up in the car every single time in the back seat. That made him think outside the box and not just accuse me of being selfish anymore. So I went and got my eyes tested. I couldn't read at that point because I remember distinctly taking the test with little gold fish cards, and I had to hold my hand up, down in the E shape, so hand up, hand to the side, hand to the other side. And I'm left-handed, and I remember distinctly at one point having to hold my hand in a very awkward way to form the E, because I was using my left hand. But I think because I'm nearsighted that I developed that bad TV habit into everything that I do. Even to this day, I read with my book right up next to my face within 5-6 inches. I crochet right up next to my face within 5-6 inches. So having my hands in my lap, this is quite difficult. I'm even having trouble looking at a few of the stitches. Oop. There we go. 1, 2, that little twirly thing going on there. There we go. First stitch. Second. second stitch, third stitch, fourth stitch, fifth, and sixth. You would think, because I learned to crochet not long after I got glasses, in fact. When I was probably 7 or 8, I used to get to spend summers at my grandmother's house, and she taught me to crochet one time. And in fact, she taught me to crochet on a blanket that I still have, and it just so happens that it is the inspiration for this year's slow yarn crawl that will be happening this summer, and we are participating in this year. Alright, so here we are again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 lobes with 6 double crochet clusters in each. And there it is on this design. There's what we just finished. The next round is a second round of chains and slip stitches. So our next round is to chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then go down here and slip stitch at the very last, at the top of the very last double crochet. And here's where I'm talking about. See how these chains go along the top? When you go into the top, you go into the chain. That means you're on top of the stitch below instead of between the stitch below. And what it does is it provides you with more stitches per round, and they line up instead of alternating. Alright, so we've done 8 chain, slip stitch on the last of the 6 double crochets. Chain 3, slip stitch into the top of the first stitch of the double crochet clusters. And all we've done is build a little bridge there, which is going to form a foundation here in a minute. Chain 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, into the next, in the last stitch of the row, in the top of the stitch, through that chain, out and slip. Whoop. Let's do that again. Out and slip. Oh goodness. Slippery this far away from my face. There. And slip through. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. First stitch on the next cluster. Oop. Oh my goodness. There. And through. Chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And see, we're getting those lobes out again. And it kind of gives you that snowflake quality. Through, and through, chain 3, and into the first stitch of the next cluster, through, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, into the last one of the cluster, slip stitch, chain 3, slip stitch to the first one of the next cluster. We're almost around. Ooh, let's get you in. 8, chain 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Slip stitch into the last chain, the last double crochet of the cluster. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. First stitch of the next cluster. Oh, this is the last one. First stitch of the next cluster. There. Slip stitch out. There we go. And chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Down into the last double crochet of the cluster, slip stitch, and then one last chain 3, 2, 3, and slip into the where the first chain 8 came out of the round. There we go. Oops, come on, get in there. There we go. All right. It's not cooperating today. I do try to pierce it through the post of that first chain so that it closes up. All right, there we go. So now we have our second round, and these rounds are going to form the points out there. I think actually I've given this one a deeper center. So look, we've reinvented this. It's a lacier stitch. All right, now we're going to turn these loops into points of a star. And the way that you do that is through slip stitch. I chained one here just to give me some clearance. And then I'm going to do a series of slip stitches up the first 2 chains on the chain 8 of the previous round. So a slip stitch here. This is a traveling. We use slip stitch to travel all the time in crochet. And we're going to travel into the next one. There. And into the third. Into the third with a slip stitch. But now we're going to chain 3, 2, 3. Oh, we've got a little kerfuffle coming off the ball here. This, I have an inexpensive crochet cotton because I didn't bring my Lizbeth with me. And I wanted to show this to you, and I don't have enough patience. So this is an inexpensive size 8 crochet cotton. I highly recommend Lizbeth. It behaves itself a little better. But if you have crochet cotton, knit crocheting, Aunt Lydia's, whatever laying around, go ahead and use that. It will work. All right, chain 3. And then we're going to go into the top of the next chain. Slip stitch. Top of the next chain. Slip stitch. Chain 1, 2, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that just gives us a bigger picot. All right, so we've got 3. We've moved to the next one. 6. We're going to move to the next one. Actually, we're going to go into the same one this time. Into the same chain space, and then 3. 1, 2, 3, and into the next space. So just pierce through that chain and slip through. Twist it on me. That is some of the problems with these inexpensive crochet cottons is they do twist. There. Through. There. So we have that little, I don't know, it looks like a fleur-de-lis to a certain extent. A little picot fleur-de-lis. And then we're going to travel. So slip stitch down the rest of the chain. So another 3, 1, 2, 3, into that one. This is helping us travel, but it's also making that chain stitch a little more rigid. And then 3 across in the little, we did 8 and then 3, 8 and then 3. In the 3s, the chain 3s, oh, that didn't go through a chain, that went through the loop. You can go through the loop if that's what you prefer. I just find that it's a little easier and solidifies the chain space a little better if I go through the chain. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then 1, 2, 3 up the next chain loop of 8. 1, 2, 3. And then the next fleur-de-lis. So 1, 2, 3 chains into the next chain space. slip stitch, stitch, chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, into the same space, slip stitch, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, go into the next space, slip stitch. Oh man, that is twisted again. There. Sometimes you gotta take your chain and kind of kick it out behind your hand just to stop it getting in the way. There. Alright, we have our fleur-de-lis. Now, is my fleur-de-lis lined up? I checked this because, see, that one's perfectly centered, but it looks like I made the first one a little too soon. I should have gone up a little more. Let's see. Oh, well, no, it's okay. Alright. Into the next chain space, slip stitch, and again. Just check your fleur-de-lis at the tips and make sure that they are in the center of your, yeah, it's fine. So 3 more, and then into the bridge, that 3 chain bridge between the larger loops. 1, 2, 3, back out into an 8 chain, 1, slip stitch, 2, 3, 2 and 3 slip stitches, 2 and 3, and it's really, don't just fiddle with it. If you happen to hit 1 thread, it's fine. Chain 3, go into the next chain, chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, into the same chain with a slip stitch, chain 3, 2, 3, and into the next chain space. For the picot especially, I do try to get through 2 threads on top, therefore it's got a little bit of hold when I start pulling this out in the blocking process. Alright, I've done my fleur-de-lis shape, and I'm going to go into 2 more, slip stitch into the next 3 chain spaces, and sometimes I have to go down right at that V to get that 3rd one in there, but it's worth it. It anchors that edge quite nicely. Alright, we have 3, we're halfway there. 3 more and we're done with this snowflake. Slip stitch across the bridge or the 3 chains. 1, 2, 3, up in those chain spaces. And then 3 on here, on the 8 chain loop. 1, see if I can save that one. 1 slip stitch, 2 slip stitch, and the 3rd slip stitch, and then chain 3. Uh-oh. Looks like we had a little slip stitch here. There. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, into the next chain space, slip stitch, chain 8, chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, into the same chain space, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, into the next chain space, with a slip stitch. Fleur-de-lis done, so now it is slip stitch 1, 2, 3, and then 3 more slip stitches across that bridge. 1, 2, I told you what thread I'm using, but I didn't tell you what size hook this is. And honestly, I don't know, but I'll have a look at it as soon as I'm finished here. I do tend to just pull out what I can get my hands on. And I know this isn't, oh, it's a 7, I can see. So this is a 7. A size 7 steel crochet hook. Working with threads, steel hooks are your friend. And I particularly like vintage steel hooks. As an aside, we do have these steel, I buy vintage steel hooks and resell them in the store. So we have masses of steel crochet hooks, and you can choose if you have a preference between Boy and Susan Bates. 2, 3. Many of my customers prefer one over the other. I can't tell you that I do prefer. Sometimes I like wooden ones. 2, 4. We do have wooden ones as well, beautifully turned wooden ones. And more simple, 2, 3. Just plywood style with the strips, the Knitter's Pride brand ones that come in different colors per size. All right, and then 3 slip stitches to the end. 1, 2, 3. I believe all the vintage crochet hooks are listed online. I have taken the work to do that, but I'm pretty sure the wooden ones are as well, if you need hooks. Most people do have a plethora of hooks in their lives. All right, we have one last run at this, and then this snowflake is done. So I am going to do the 3 stitches on the bridge chain. 1, 2, 3. And then this is our last point, so we do 3. 1, 2, 3. Chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Into the next space. Oop, just twisted again. Into the next space. Chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Into the same space, slip stitch, and then chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and into the next space. And then you're going to run down the other side so that this is well distributed. 1 and balanced. 1, 2. This is the final side. Let's put a loose chain there. 2, 3, which I can fix now because of these slip stitches. I can tighten up if there's any inconsistencies in my crochet. We're going down at the end, and we have to do the 3 slip stitches across the bridge. 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to join where I started. So right at that, where the join meets the first larger petal, I'm going to put one more slip stitch in as my join, and then break this off. Now I need my teeth, so you're not going to see that. I didn't bring my scissors with me, and I like to do a knot. So I'm going to go through that last stitch, just because this is crochet cotton and it's not going to felt. I want that quite secure. And there is our snowflake. And this one's quite a bit more open than the first ones are. I probably put more chains out in those lobes. They're all nice, and just look, you can vary your number of chains and stitches and get a variety of snowflakes. So enjoy. Happy Advent Day 3. If we're lucky, this one's going to be on time. There'll be 2 videos tomorrow because I busted my tail to put 3 out today. To finish this, hide your ends. Just with a darning needle, hide your ends. I'm going to starch these. I would love to have comments, and if you guys know of good starching, liquid starch. I've heard some people say glue and water. I've heard other people talk about sugar and water. I just made a bunch of syrup. I could make these orange flavored. I don't think so. So let me know what your favorite starching technique is if you have one. I'll also do some reading up, but I will pin these out and starch them, and they will be ready for the tree. My plan is, and the reason why I didn't make a chain at the valley is I like to hang my snowflakes from one of the Pico fleur-de-lis. So this will hang from one of the tips. And I'm gonna use, they'll hang from the tip. Like that. I will use a very narrow piece of ribbon to put some color and maybe even some sparkle on it. All right, have happy Advent day 3. Oh, and I forgot to say yesterday, if you aren't already following our YouTube channel, Kelly's and mine at BlackSheep, please do. If you're looking for any of the supplies that I'm using on these videos, I will put links below. And if I do not have supplies from BlackSheep, I'll put in links to other places. I am not proud. I will do that. Definitely click on them and have a look around. And have a happy Advent.